What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Small Lake City podcast. I am your host, Eric Nilsson, and here we are at episode 4. So you should know by now, but this is part 2 of Cameron and Ying Nance's story. So if you haven't listened to part 1, make sure that you go back and please listen to episode 3 so that you're caught up for this one, or else you will be very confused. For those who are caught up and have listened to episode 3, this will jump right into it of Cam moving back to the US and wanting to start his suit company, Ying figuring out what life in Thailand is like as she gets started in her own professional journey, how they find themselves together, traveling back and forth, and how they unknowingly and surprisingly made their way in Utah. Whether or not they decided it at that time, that's what happened. So follow along, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hope you enjoy part 2. See you on the other side. And like at this point in life, you're like, okay, like family's pretty successful. I can do all these fun things without too much work. I'll probably marry someone famous from Thailand and just kind of continue this. Is that kind of what you expected at that point?
Yeah, like I would probably marry someone from a good family in Thailand and like things would be okay. Like you don't have to worry about money. Even though I know that my dad's company is kind of like struggling at that point, but I always thought he will figure it out. He's smart. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
No problem.
And he works up. He's 70, he still works like crazy.
Yeah, he's 70 right now and he still like tries to find things to do.
Yeah.
So I started dating Cam.
And what year is this when you'd say that you guys are like dating?
Well,
2018.
So like, let's back up a little bit. So
Yeah.
Cam comes back from Thailand because the show isn't working because of that. Mm-hmm. And then Cam starts to work on the business itself.
yeah. So the money I had left, I had that $5,000, right?
Right.
I had moved in with, I got home. Huh?
Where's the baby?
With my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's in the bath by herself. She's fine.
They're up in the toy room.
I
The
thought
big
he locked her
playroom.
up somewhere, just like
What? So, I had this $5,000. I got back like December of like, I can't remember what year, 2016, 2017, something like that. And, I was like, I don't have anywhere to live because Brandon was at my mom's house. So I talked to Helene and she was dating a guy who's now my brother-in-law. Mm-hmm. And he lived downtown and he's like, dude, come crash on my couch for free. So I was like, okay.
You're like, yes, I will.
You know? And then, so I just did that and I signed up for Lyft. That's another thing I did, which you were a big part of.
Yeah.
You did Lyft first and you're like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
easy, dude. I'm making all this money. And I'm like, well, I'll do that. So I had done Lyft like on the side. Now I was like, I need to revitalize my business, which has, in my absence, has started to die a little bit.
Right.
And in order to revitalize a business, you've got to inject money into it. So I took all the money I had and dropped it into Google AdWords. All of it. $5,000. Just, this is what it's for. I'm going all in. If this doesn't work, I'll go back to school. And in order to keep my life going, and part of that money was to keep my employees, Michael and Colby at the time. Colby still works for me. Actually, Michael does too. He's our developer. But keep those guys paid, and then my income will come from Lyft driving. And every morning from like 5 a.m. to like 9, Lyft drive. Then I'd go to the gym at City Creek, shower. I'd get into the store at noon. And then
So you had the first storefront at this point.
well, sorry, let me back up.
Okay.
I put it in, and the high injection of money, like we just started like selling enough. And I'm like, let's get a store.
Right.
So then I got a store.
And this is the one on like 9 South.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that second floor place. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, wow, we had a $25,000 month. That's insane. Like we this could be something, right? So, yeah, so I Lyft drove until I moved to New York to pay myself because I was too afraid to take money out of the company.
And when was this, when you went to New York?
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So you guys had just like started like dating.
Yeah.
Wait, so
No,
he
not
moved
yet.
to New York in 2018.
I haven't spoken. I'll send a Snapchat of me at the JCC, flexing or something.
So you guys are keeping in touch, but it's nothing like
No,
texting all the time,
no.
Yeah.
FaceTiming, that sort
No.
of stuff.
And so he was moving to New York. He got into a car crash.
Yes, I forgot about that.
So let me back
Hold
up.
on. Actually, I want to go back on this from my perspective.
Yeah,
So Cam at this point is like, I'm moving to New York. Our good friend Tanner is living there already, and he's going to go move in with him. And Cam comes to us and is like, yeah, so I'm going to drive my car out there. So I have a car out there. And I think every single person's like, Cam, that's a bad idea. Yeah. Having a car in New York is not good. And you're like, whatever, I'll make it work.
I'll keep Lyft driving there.
Yeah.
You know, because when I flew there to check it out, I talked to the Lyft driver and I was like, yo, I'm thinking about doing this here. How much money do you make? He's like, I make $120,000 a year Lyft driving. And I was like, that'll do.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, everyone's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, honestly, like the whole suit thing, Tanner and Scott, I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but they had close to interventions with me. Like, dude, go finish your degree. Like, this suit thing might fail. And I was like, I don't know. I got to give it a shot. I got to keep trying. So, when I was living on my future brother-in-law's couch, Tanner accepted the job in New York, moved, and then I moved back in with Scott.
Yes.
And then working there, I hit up Tanner like, hey, this store is running on its own. I want to move back to New York. Can I live with you? And he's like, this much money a month, you can come. And I was like, I'm going. And then while I was driving there, I fell asleep at the wheel and hit a semi-truck. And I walked away from it. Car was completely totaled.
Thank God you're okay.
But I should have been dead.
Yeah.
And I posted it on
Facebook,
Instagram, something like that.
And I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh. So I texted you.
You lined me, yeah.
Yeah, I texted you and I was like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, everything's good. So we started talking and I told him that.
So almost thank God he got in the car crash because that was
seriously.
her being like,
yeah.
Are you okay?
So many things happened. I remember.
So for everybody out there, if gym selfies on Snapchat don't work, just go get in a car crash. And that's how you get attention.
Yeah, well, so that happened and I told him that I'm coming to America for some things and I'll be in New York for a little bit. And so he was like, okay, you need to hit me up when you're here. And so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then
after the car crash, I was like, I had all my stuff from my car. I was in Laramie, Wyoming, and it was go home or continue forward. Mm-hmm. So I took a carload of stuff, loaded onto a bus down to Denver Airport, went to USPS, shipped it all to Tanner, got on a plane, flew to New York.
It was also that decision because, I mean, I don't know where Utah is. I mean, even though I go to American school, but and I counted all the states, but Utah was never in my mind. When he told me Utah, I had to Google and be like, where the hell is Utah?
Yeah.
Fair.
And so if he didn't decide to go to New York, I would have never seen him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he was pressing me once it's closer to the date that I was going to be there. He's like, when are you going to arrive? Like we need to meet up. And again.
Okay. So, I was getting my bearings about me in New York. Instead of Lyft driving to fund the expansion of Bespoke into New York, I took a job at a hotel.
I didn't know about the hotel.
Catering events. Yeah. Nomo Soho. And actually turned into really good because I met a lot of really wealthy people there that turned into my clients and they still buy from me to this day. So, I was doing that. And then I would just any day I wasn't working at the hotel, which was 3 days a week, 12-hour days, I would go to New York. I'd choose a building. I'd walk in. I'd lie to the doorman saying I'd look up a name of a lawyer in a law firm that has to have an appointment with this guy. I'd look it up and then he'd put me in the elevator and I'd ride the elevator all day walking into offices, telling him what I do. I'm here to see this guy. And I started getting clients.
The hustle.
And so a lot of these guys are clients of mine to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got an executive at Wells Fargo that only buys shirts from me, but he'll hit me up and be like, I need 50 shirts. I'm like, okay. Any color suggestions? Nope. Okay.
Dealer's choice.
Same card with the same Amex? Yep. All right. Good talking to you. Little things like that. So anyway, that was my life. And then she was coming into town. I'm like, okay. This is it. I'm going to make it happen with this girl finally. So we planned to meet at Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
Down in the basement where all the food is and stuff.
Yeah.
I get there. She's with a friend.
I mean, it's my friend that I always see when I go to New York, which we still see
every time we go.
Yeah. And I was so tired because I just got there that day from Vegas, from partying 2 nights. I just started feeling a little bit sick. So I was like, okay, I just don't want this to be too long. I just want to go to bed.
Yeah.
And I was having ice cream with my friend. And so he got there late, like an hour and a half.
The audacity.
I was waiting. Anyway, so
I lived in Harlem.
yeah, but he got there, and so
Subways are a gamble.
my friend was leaving because she needs to go back to New Jersey, and I went back to the hotel with him. Went up
Her
to
hotel,
change,
yeah.
and my other friend who was with me in Vegas said she was feeling sad and wanted to come too, and I was like, how am I going to say no?
Yeah.
It wasn't like.
So I think, okay, her friend's finally leaving. I get one-on-one time with Ying for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And she comes down from her hotel room with a different friend. And this time, dude, I was out. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm never trying again.
Like, message received.
Yeah, got it. So,
But he
we went
was
to-
still pretty nice. He took us out to like a
still going to be a good host.
pub, like a bar.
Yeah, a restaurant bar. And you two just
Yeah.
talked about someone that you were complaining about.
Yeah, I was upset with someone, and so we were just kind of like drinking, and somehow we went to another bar that Cam thinks that.
Well, the thing was like, hey, you're going to, and she's like, we'll go, like, I was ready to go home. And her friend and her, she's like, well, we can go to one more place.
yeah, and Cam.
And
was
I'm like,
thinking-
okay, well, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. There's this speakeasy in Manhattan called Employees Only. To this day, I'm batting 100 there. I'd never gone there.
If it ain't broke.
Yeah, exactly. I'd never gone there without like going home with someone there. So I'm like, all right, I'll take her to this speakeasy. And then we're there and
he wasn't making a move or anything, and like,
but you started dancing with me.
yeah, and so I was like,
Making a move.
I was the one.
Literally moves.
So also when you're with a friend, you can't really like. With this last friend that I took out with me, it wasn't my intention, so I wasn't in the wrong.
Right.
And so I was like, I told her before I made a move. I told her that I'm planning to go home with Cam. So
I didn't know this.
Like,
I was
will you
so
be
just like, I want to
okay?
go home.
Yeah.
I was like, will you be okay? Because she seems pretty drunk.
And
she's
because this
like-
is your friend from Thailand, right?
No, she's from.
She's Thai, but she
she's
lives
from
in
Oh, so,
Denver.
so this is the one that lives in New York.
It lives in Denver.
No, this
Oh,
one
okay,
lives
okay,
in
okay.
Denver.
But
So
she
it's
had
not-
partied with him in New York
Got
or
it.
Vegas and then went to New York with
So
him.
it's not like being in America and trying to navigate public
No.
transportation would
No.
be terribly hard
No.
for her.
No.
Okay.
And also, she's like 10 years older than me.
Oh, okay. So she's fine.
She's
fine.
lived in the States for a
Yeah.
long time.
So I was like, will you be okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. So I was like, so I turn around to Cam.
She
I think
kisses me.
Yeah, I think I kissed him.
And I was like,
Okay.
whoa, okay.
okay.
Game on.
I misread this. I misread the situation.
And yeah, I was pretty drunk. And I was like, are you taking me home? Or
If
If
not,
not,
I'm going to
I'm
go
gonna
back to
go.
my hotel. And I was like,
because the hotel, it's not just me, it's that friend. It's like my manager's friend. Like
Her
There's a
brother.
lot of like people there.
golf
Got
was
it.
there too,
Golf
right?
was not there.
Oh, he wasn't.
And
Okay.
so I was like, are you taking me home? Or if not, I'm just going to go home.
And he's like, check,
I'm
please.
tired.
Yeah. Got in a cab.
And I was like, I'm not going. What's the train called?
Subway.
I'm not going on the subway.
You
just
didn't
so
say
know.
that.
I'm not. I was so drunk.
I know, but you weren't. I wasn't going to take you on the
You're like,
subway
I'd rather
either.
throw up out the window of a cab than in the middle of the subway. Let's
Yeah.
get out of here.
Because I was like,
So-
I can't walk anymore.
Yeah. Then we had to stop by a bodega,
Naturally.
naturally, grab some stuff. And then, yeah. And then the next morning, I wake up and she is gone. I'm like, where did you go?
Well, so in my defense, when you wake up somewhere in the morning, your makeup is all messed up. You don't want to be seen. So I escape.
And so I was like, hey, had fun. And it was back to being aloof.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck?
But then, okay, let's skip the rude part. Okay, let's go to the nice part now.
Okay, so you guys realize that there's more to this than just this like platonic friendship of bringing a friend.
No, not yet.
Okay.
And then I went home, and then for some reason,
So did you see him again while you were in New York that time, or you were gone by the time you could see each other?
One time, but I was kind of rude.
I actually went to Thailand. I had to go to Thailand for to go to the factory.
Got it.
And so
it was an excuse.
it was an excuse. Yeah. I mean,
Got it.
I do need to go,
But you don't have to.
but I
go.
don't have to. It was
Okay.
like, hey, we need to. Someone needs to go. I can go.
Yeah.
You know, I have a place to stay.
Yeah.
What it was with another celebrity,
Philip.
Philip. Yeah,
Yeah.
another celebrity friend of mine. He let me stay at his condo.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got home, and then we kind of started like FaceTiming.
This was all her.
Yeah, it was all me.
There you
I
go.
was bored, and I was like, okay, I'm going to FaceTime someone who's still awake. And it's Cameron in New York
Yeah.
because it's daytime for him.
I was going to say, because he's how many hours
It's
behind
12
you?
hours.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
I would wake up in the morning, meditate, go to the gym with Tanner, and then I'd come back. Tanner would go to work, and I'd answer emails for 3 hours. And while I was answering emails, she'd just be on FaceTime with me.
Okay.
So
And then she'd go to bed, and I'd hit the pavement
And then she'd wake up and you'd FaceTime at night while you were getting...
right before I go to bed.
Because that's the first time I met Ying so I was in New York. It had to have been 2018, I think. I had a job interview out there in, I think it was Sanford, Connecticut. And so naturally, like
I remember when you came and stayed, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a job interview there, and I like booked out my flight a couple more days so I could go, hang out with you two there, because I always would. Every time I came to New York, I'd always stay with Tanner, and you were there at the time. And where I was coming in, and all of a sudden, like, you were FaceTiming Ying, and you're like, hey, come meet Ying. And I'm like, who the fuck is Ying? like, I know you're FaceTiming someone. So I meet her. I didn't really think too much of it at the time, but it was like the first time I was like, okay, like, here is a person. Like, you told me about it later of like, oh, like, we're kind of dating long distance, kind of figuring out what it is, but also realizing kind of like the difficulties of the relationship at that time. Yeah. So that's when I first remember meeting Ying virtually.
So I went to Thailand a couple times.
Yeah. And
to see
then
you.
he was a big part of like my career, I would say.
Because we weren't like dating at this point, but she was, so her dad had cut her off.
Yeah.
And she and her mom were so mad at him for that. And then so she was telling me the story of it, and I'm like, I'm actually on your dad's side on this one. She's like, what? I'm like, I don't think your dad's in the wrong here. Like,
she'd probably love to hear that from
start taking care of yourself. So, and then she did what she never thought she'd do. She started interviewing for jobs.
Yeah, with him helping me with my resume and everything.
Yeah.
And I got a job at this like PR company and started working 9 to 5, which I've never imagined myself doing. And
Well, there was a part of you that didn't think you could because you always thought you weren't smart enough.
It's not that. It was your parents has always tell you that you're good, you're the best, you can do anything, but you've never really done anything. So it's like once you're not working, and you always thought that you would be working with your family, and now that you're not, like you have to go into the real world where you actually are not that good. There are other people that are way better. And so it was kind of intimidating.
And I was telling her, like, you'd be surprised, like I love the Steve Jobs quote where he says, like, it's really powerful when you realize that the people that have had the most effective change, like, on the world are no smarter than you are.
Completely agree.
You know what I mean? So, like, there are talented people. I'm not, like, discrediting anyone, but, like...
The bell curve is very true.
Yeah, you can have a really strong effect if you just, like, put a good game plan together and consistently work at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what I did with my interview, because I did go to like a few interviews and they were like intimidating. I wanted to cry. But with this one, it was like they know who I am. And so they were kind of like, okay, tell me about yourself and stuff like that. So one thing I told them was, I have no experience in working in any field. Like, I don't know how to use Excel, but I'm willing to learn. Like, if you are willing to teach me, I am an empty glass of water. I will learn anything you teach me and I will do anything you tell me to do. That is all. And so they were like, okay, we'll give it a try. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So I worked with them for a year while doing my YouTube channel. At that point, I already started my YouTube channel, which Cam also was the one who kind of
Encouraged you to do it, I guess.
Yeah. Because I was like, well, I don't know what to do. And he's like, you could start a YouTube channel. Like, you have so many great ideas and people would love to hear about that. And yeah, I was like, really? So that's when I started doing that, and it was great. And part of me still loved doing that. It's just right now I have no time.
How many subscribers do you have now?
364,000 subscribers right now.
It's gone pretty well.
And did it grow? Like, was it something that once you started, it grew pretty quick, or is this like just consistent effort put in while you're working at this PR firm and slowly grew?
It grew pretty quick, and it kind of it's kind of still growing. And I have like a fan base right now that still is waiting for more videos.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but we are like the amount we're both working right now. Like, we have no social life.
Oh yeah,
we have no time for anything else right now. So thank you for working with our schedule here.
Oh, totally.
But, yeah, there's a huge area of opportunity there for sure. I just don't have the time right now.
Yeah, and so when the relationship part comes in is when I came here for the first time for Christmas to meet with his family. And it was like either I move or he moved. And we never really have this conversation until like 5 months later.
Yeah. So you came to New York, and I said, when you come here in the next July. No, in July you came right before I moved home. Mm-hmm. And I told you I was going to introduce you as my girlfriend. So that's when I was like, hey, I'm serious.
Oh, wait, is this the first time you came to Utah? When I met you in person?
No, this was in July in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he said that he's going to introduce me to everyone as his girlfriend. So I was like, okay, cool.
And does your family know about Cam and like you talking so much, or is it still pretty hush-hush to them?
No, you introduced me because I flew to Thailand.
Well, my mom knows. My brother kind of know. Mm-hmm. My dad didn't know until like after, because I kind of stopped talking to him for a sec. And so he had no idea about Cam. And I'm also not an open person about relationship to my family unless I'm sure that
I'm the only boyfriend or relationship person that San and Bank have ever met.
Yeah. Like, unless I'm sure I'm going to marry this person, like, I'm not posting about anyone.
Got it.
Yeah. So
I bought her ticket to come spend and I got an Airbnb because I was living at my sister's house when I moved back from New York. Yeah, just how long were you in town? A week and a half?
Like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And
so this is in July, or this is over that?
This is December. So
this is when I remember meeting Ying in person.
Yeah.
Because I remember
at Scott's and we walked to Cheesecake.
Yes. Yeah. So just to paint the picture, so I'm living in Seattle at the time. I come and visit, and whenever I come and visit, it's always hanging out at Scott's apartment because it's all a condo because it's always just a nice central place, and then we can go out. Mm-hmm. And so we're sitting there hanging out, and we have this great idea to go to Cheesecake Factory for dinner.
It is 10 degrees outside.
It is freezing cold. And me, coming from Seattle, I'm like, I don't want to drive. I love walking. Let's do this. So we start walking to Cheesecake Factory in the middle of December.
I'm on high heels.
Yeah. She's in high heels. We're all it's freezing. It was a terrible idea.
Well, I mean, we were we were under the influences of some substances, so our decision making might not have been the best.
And so we get there.
It's like a 25-minute walk.
Oh, and just so terrible. And and I could tell Ying was a little shy. Like, I could tell that's when she was shy, just like meeting all of her friends, different country in a state that she couldn't put on a map if you put a gun to her head.
For sure.
And but I always remember just kind of being intrigued about the situation because it's very unique, right? It's not like any of my friends are dating a girl from another country.
The success rate of a relationship like ours, long distance, is very low.
Totally. So like, I almost didn't be like, okay, it's like, how much effort do I put into meeting this person? Like, do I just kind of take it at face value and say, oh, good, Cam, to see you. Ying, nice to meet you, and kind of move on? Because I'm just in town to see my friends. Last thing I want to do is put in a ton of effort for that. And so I remember that trip being really fun. But like Ying, from that, because like that was your first time in Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, flying home from there, what were your thoughts about, I mean, Cam, Utah, the future of that?
So at that point, so I love him, but dating him was like, okay, we'll probably break up at some point because, you know, I don't think I can move because I have a job. I have my YouTube channel. Without being in Thailand, it kind of just doesn't work. Like being an influencer, you have a base in Thailand. Moving to America is just hard to get sponsorship. It just doesn't work. And so Cam, part of him also thinks that it won't work as well because he would talk to me and be like, will you be able to like just sacrifice this lifestyle?
I tried to talk about it, bring it up, and Ying just wasn't ready to cross that bridge.
It's a big move.
Yeah. So,
or just like to even address like eventually one of us has to move. She's like, let's just keep the status quo. I'm happy with you.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's not ideal, but FaceTiming's fine. And then like we're both making enough money where we can travel across the world to see each other every couple months.
Because at this point, like you've spent a lot of time in Thailand, so you have a pretty good picture of what life would be like there for you.
Definitely. Granted,
like you have this business you're starting in the U.S., especially in Utah specifically at this point.
Yeah.
So you could do that, but it would take a lot of sacrifices for that to make it work.
Yeah.
And in Ying's experience, I mean, she's been to Vegas, she's been to New York, she's been to kind of like the hot spots of the U.S., and spent like a week in Utah to see what it's like, but not necessarily be able to see what life would be like for her.
Yeah.
So when I love New York, like it's just the vibe for me. And I feel like when I went to California, I was like, oh no, everything's so far from each other. Like I have to drive and it's just, so when I come to Utah, I was like, oh, it's like the west side of America, which I don't like. There's only one Zara. There's 2 Sephora. And so my mind back then was like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna like stay here. Like Thai food's not good here. Like, what am I gonna do? So I just kind of like put that topic off with Cam. Because at that point, before I came here for Christmas, he sent me a long text saying,
I let her know the plan.
Yeah,
like, I was like, I want to make this work.
So he sent me a long text and said, hey, babe, here's what I think is going to happen. If you come to America, to Utah, and we spend Christmas together, if you like Utah, we should get engaged. And then we should think about like moving here and, you know, plan all the pictures.
Which
engagement,
is a lot.
wedding.
I do. I'm a very analytical planner. And it would be overwhelming. I know.
But that's a lot of like big life steps, a lot of big words. And you're like,
and my friends saw the text and they were like, holy crap. Ying, red. And so I was like, okay, never mind. I'm just going to avoid this topic altogether. And so
just to get the timeline. So this is like 2019-ish.
Yeah, this is 29. No, this is
the end of
2018.
Okay.
And so 2019, we went to Coronado.
So she flew back and went to Coronado.
So,
where it was with, I mean, I was there. A lot of our friends were there. It was really like the first time I got to sit down with you and be like, okay, now I know this is someone important to Cam.
Yep.
We have this time together.
We have the different point of view. At that time, I was like, don't invest too much time in these people. You'll never see them again. Like
I have that impact on people.
But she enjoyed that time so much.
Yeah, but with Cam, it's like he wants to see if we could go on a road trip together.
Yeah, testing out with friends.
Yeah, because we drove from
like.
Salt Lake to San Diego.
Right.
Yeah, because I was thinking like the 4 seasons and, you know, the road trip.
And then let's have the talk. And so when I left from that trip going,
and I tried to have the talk in San Diego and in Utah, and she just didn't want to talk about it. She wasn't ready. Nope. And then we're on FaceTime, and I'm just like, we have to talk about this.
And so we set a time to talk about it.
And so, and I said, I am not moving to Thailand. My business, I'm making 6 figures for the first time, and it's growing.
Yeah.
Like,
and so
if I'm going to provide for a family, it has to be here.
Yeah. And like, you have a good idea, like, because you can see the vision of like life would be here. Like, hey, like things are starting to come together.
Yeah.
My dream from, especially thinking back when you were in Thailand, of like, hey, I've done this growth. I've figured out who I am. I figured out what I want. And like this life is starting to come together.
Yeah.
And like Ying has, I mean, her life in Thailand as well. She has her influencing, she has her PR job, she has her family, like everything is there.
Yeah. And I was like, if I go back to Thailand, I'm back to square one. And I won't be able to, you know, provide for the family that I was just like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So can you move here?
For me, it's not just the career. It's more like, okay, family, friends
who you still
like,
miss. Yeah.
The biggest part was friends.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do here? I have no friends here. And so I said no to him as well. And so we broke up for like 6 hours.
I was expecting like months or weeks or
No,
days.
so
but-
she's like, it's over. And then it was on a Sunday. And I
No, it was on a day, it was on a weekday because I go to work the next day.
No, because I went to family dinner.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
maybe it was a weekday for you and it
my
was
Monday.
a Sunday for,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
Monday
your
night.
Monday
Both
morning.
can be
my
true in this
Sunday night.
situation. Yeah.
And so I started crying until like 3 a.m. My mom came over and she was like, why don't you just go and try it out?
Like try
Like,
living with him for a
You
few
don't
months.
have to commit to anything yet. Just go and try it out for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Just go. And if you like it or if you think you can stay there, then stay. If you can't, then come home. That's it.
Which is a pretty endearing moment for you and your mom, I imagine. Because like thinking back to when you guys first met, it's like, here's this little monk boy,
Yeah.
nothing there. And then all of a
she's
sudden,
not an ideal person, but
Totally.
what she thinks is she can't stay there.
Well,
she'll go and
Her
she
mom
won't
has
be
a
able
really
to.
close friend who's like her fortune teller. And the fortune teller told her that it won't work out between us. So there's nothing to worry about.
so you have the monk saying you guys are going to get married. You have this fortune teller saying no.
Yeah, and so my friends were thinking, we lost her. Like she goes, like it's done. She's not coming back. And so I moved here. I quit my job. I moved here.
And what month and year was this?
It was 2018 in August.
Oh, okay, so
29.
that's right.
Yeah.
So there was the first time.
2019 in August.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
then I moved
2019 in
to
August.
Boise.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
2019 in August. I quit my job. I moved here, and the plan was to stay here for 3 months and then go home for a bit because I have like some trips that I need to go with my mom. And so after living here for a bit, Cameron kind of tried to like impress me with everything that he can. All the malls, all the parks, all the, whatever he can.
Hiking, which he doesn't like.
Hiking, which I hate. And for me, I started to think that it looks like a good place to raise a family. There's not a lot of things to do back then, but it's a good place for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, friends, they're still going to be my friends. And once they start a family, everyone will be busy. I won't see them as much anyway. So I made the decision. So I told him, I'll move.
I think I can do it, but not yet.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
So our plan was to kind of go back and forth for another
Well,
year.
I was opening up Boise. So I moved to Boise in October to open up the store there. And so the plan was, okay, I'm going to open up Boise and then I'm going to come see you in like February.
Yeah. And then our plan was to get married at the end of 2020 in Thailand. And then I will get a marriage visa from Thailand and wait another year to like move.
Got it.
But, COVID and everything.
Yeah. So everything went according to plan as far as like opening up Boise. We got that open. I went and saw her for a little bit in Bangkok. And then she came back with me to the US.
And we
like-
thought that I was going to be here for like 2 months because I have another trip.
And what month and year is this?
This is February
2020.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's either I go home and I won't be able to come back again because during the
So COVID hit, everything got locked down.
Yep.
No travel back to Thailand. And then it was long enough that she overstayed her visa, we were living, Colin Tuttle was my roommate, and his girlfriend had moved in with him. And now Ying was there with me. It got really crammed.
Full house.
Full house. So we moved in with my mom, who she wasn't even close with yet, that summer.
Yeah. So I had a chance to go home. I could have gone home. It would be a hard process, but I could have gone home.
But we didn't know how long it would be for
so
us
much
to see
uncertainty.
each other again. Yeah.
So, and my parents wouldn't want me to travel back here again if I want to come. So I thought, I'm just going to overstay and force this man to marry me.
What a power move.
Yeah.
So
I stayed, even though I came up with all this thing that I would tell Cam that I can't go home.
Yeah.
I could,
I didn't know that.
but I don't want to.
Yeah.
So I stayed, even though I know that I don't have a job, that he will have to support me on many things.
Yeah,
so,
I was paying for everything.
Yeah.
Totally.
So
But it's fine. We were selling face masks at that
Yeah.
point. So
I remember that.
So we went to live with his mom in her basement. Most days I would just be in the basement.
Yeah.
I can't drive. I don't have a driver's license or anything. I can't go anywhere. So I would just stay there waiting for him to come back from work.
Which is, I'm sure was fine for a little bit, but then you got bored and felt like you needed to do something.
Yeah, I was doing a YouTube channel, but it wasn't, like I said, once you're out of Bangkok, it's hard to get sponsorship or anything. So I was still trying to do that.
To make money in YouTube Thailand, it's not like ad revenue from views, because it's way less payout in Thailand for views and like that, the YouTube ad revenue. You get your money from sponsorship deals from other businesses.
Yeah. So at that time, I tried to like start like a shirt company because I love like embroidered shirts and like cute sayings and stuff like that. Because Cameron's mom has like a sewing room and she has all the tools. So I started that for a little bit. And then kind of didn't work out just because I'm kind of like a perfectionist trying to find the softest shirt and like
We
just
still have
going
so many
into
t-shirts.
details. We still have so many t-shirts. We're going to donate that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was craving donuts and I was like, I'm going to order DoorDash because I can't drive.
And we were in quarantine.
Yeah, we were in quarantine.
Yeah, because Colby got COVID and we had spent the entire day with him.
Yeah.
And this is like early COVID where it was like exposure, 2 weeks quarantine.
Yes.
You know, so.
So I got this donut delivery and I was so excited because it was $4. It must be so good. And it just looks so good. Anyways. So I had a bite and I was like, this is not $4. So I had Cameron mom taste it and she's like, this is not $4.
Yeah, it's like fine, but not worth that much for sure.
So I told her, I think I could do better. I think I can just make something out of this. So I started grabbing some stuff from the stores, flour, whatever, searching recipes, and then just started baking out of her kitchen. And until it was like a good dough. And then after I feel like, okay, the dough is great. Then I started thinking, what flavors should I do that would stand me out from other donut places? And I was like, maybe I should do coconut because it's where I'm from. Like coconut is a big thing. And at that point, I've never chopped coconut before. Like I've always had someone chop it up for me.
Right.
And every time I chop it, I was like, am I going to like cut my fingers or something? But turns out great. It was really good. And I started giving out to people like his colleagues. And they were like, whoa, this is good. And so that's when I brought it over when we were hanging out. And then
I will
tricked you that we got it from Chinatown.
And I will never forget that moment. So we met for dinner at Hall Pass and Gateway, and you have this box in tote, and I didn't know what it was, I didn't think much of it. And you're like, hey, I just picked up these donuts from the Chinese market. Thought you guys would enjoy them. And so I eat one. I'm like, because I'm a huge coconut fan. Like if you take me to any sort of I mean, smoothie place, boba place. I mean, anything I'm always gravitating towards. I mean, coconut, mango, pineapple,
Yeah.
etc. And so all of a sudden, I'm like downing these donuts, thinking it's just from this Chinatown store. Which I'm like, where is this from? Give me the address. I need more. And you're like,
Actually,
and I made these.
yeah. Yeah. So after you guys approved that, I had
Big stamp of approval, by
Yeah,
the way.
I had
And I love the way she
more-
did it. Because if you were to say, hey, I made these, try these, there would be some bias. I try to
Yeah.
give like feedback when people ask for it, but the raw, unadulterated, like,
Yeah.
I want more,
for
please.
sure.
We got these from Chinatown.
Yeah, we got these from Chinatown. And so after I got like, the approval from a few people, I got more confident and thought, okay, I'm just going to start Instagram, just like how I did with Garrett Popcorn. So I started Instagram, like my Instagram, Chubby Baker, created like a simple logo and started reaching out to food influencers. I made a list of food influencers that
And did, like, so just to kind of like think of get in your head of this process, in your idea of reaching out to influencers, did this come through your experience of the YouTube channel, through your experience of the PR agency, or just your own doing?
Yeah, it was like it comes through from the PR company for sure.
So that's what you did. You reached
yeah.
out to influencers
And
to
because
get
I'm also
sponsorship deals.
influencer, so
Yeah.
it's like how influential it is to have them promote your stuff.
It's not just a catchy name.
Yeah. So I made a list, start reaching out to them. If they say no, it's fine, whatever. And a bunch of them were really generous to say yes. And I just drop it off to them, explain to them what it is and why it's coconut and not just like, a Boston cream donut.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how, maybe it's luck. It just got crazy.
Yeah.
People were like reaching out and I have like a set system. Okay, I'm going to sell it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday only. So that way I have
Taking orders on Instagram.
taking orders on Instagram,
Frying them in a pan at my mom's.
frying in a pan at his mom's house, and just started creating more flavors. Back then, I have no baking skills. Everything was from Google and testing it out and seeing if it's good. I have no idea how to use like an oven or anything at all. Yeah. So it just started that way. And then there's a lot of learning curve.
Totally.
Meeting other people in the industry, them kind of helping out with like, maybe you should get a different fryer. The one that's more for frying fries or donuts, and it has like a thermometer. And it's just like a lot of things. And I never thought that I would be opening like an actual store until it started to make money. And I talked to my dad, and he was like, well, he could invest in this. But at that point, I'm in a limbo because Cameron has no sign of proposing at all. And
So in my defense, she had not expressed any of these feelings to me that she wanted to get married like right away. In my head is I had to somehow make this elaborate, expensive wedding in Thailand happen. And it is COVID. So I've got my head down. I'm opening up Miami.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to be able to
No.
get out of my mom's and provide and give her a ring and a wedding that she wants.
so I did express that I don't need a wedding. Let's just go to the courthouse. But in his head was whatever, even until these days, whatever I ask of him, he wants to make it happen. He wants to make me happy in the way that I wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
So
So even though she said, we can just do this, in
like, I
my
don't
head
need a
was like,
proposal.
no,
I don't need a ring.
I'm going to
like,
do
let's
it.
just get married. But he wants to provide. And so he was trying to put it off. But the way he put it off was like, let's not talk about this. Like
How the
just
roles have
ignored it.
reversed.
I was just focused, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was at the point where I was like, it's coming to the end of that visa extension. And so it's either I go home or I don't know. I don't know what to do next.
Yeah. So she said, if you don't love me, just let me go. And I was like, oof.
Because I was talking to my dad and he was like, it's either we are moving forward with this business or you come home and start something. Because there's a lot of things waiting for you in Thailand if you come home.
Yeah, I mean, you could. There's so many things. Like you have your channel that you could just go plug back into. You could go back to your job.
Chubby Baker in Thailand.
Exactly. Like there's so many options, but
yeah. And so
I didn't know these conversations were happening. I was just like, I need $40,000
like
to do this.
Suits.
And so I went into the bedroom and my eyes were red after talking to my dad. And so I was like, we need to talk. Like, I understand if you don't want to marry me, but if you don't love me anymore, you just need to let me go. I'm going to get a ticket. Like, my plan was if the answer is still no, I'm buying the ticket tomorrow. I'm selling everything that for Chubby Baker, or like I would just give it to his mom and I would just leave. And yeah.
And what was your response, Cam?
I was like, well, you're not going anywhere. What are you talking about? She's like, do you still love me? I'm like, yes. Do you want to marry me? Yes. Then she's like, okay, we need to do this now. And I was like, what? Like, what about the plan? And she's like, stop. Let's just get married in a courthouse. And I was like,
just get married in a courthouse. Let's find a place that we like, it's in our range, and let's just not worry about the ring, and let's just put the money towards the house.
And I still didn't like fully accept that.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, no, I've got to make it happen.
Because you have this view in your head of this great Thailand wedding, all of your friends from Utah fly out, like the monk is there.
And I know I'm asking a lot of her, and like just marrying in a courthouse sounded so sad.
Yeah.
Like you move to America, and for this guy, and all he can give you is I was like, no, that's not me. So she, the next day, she's like, what are you doing December 20th? And I was like,
no, he had COVID.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So he got COVID and he was out of COVID like November, like 20th.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you doing anything December 10th?
That's it. Yeah.
And he's like, no, why? And at this point, I already asked everyone else, like his mom and his brother, to be the witness. And he was like, no, why? I was like, okay, we're getting married that day.
And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we're going to get married in the
I
courthouse
already
in
like
Provo.
reserved.
It's all
everything.
scheduled. Your mom's going to be there.
Yeah.
And I also love that because like going back to when you first met him is you're like, hey, I'm going to be the one to make moves. I'm going to be the one to do this. So I love that she pulled this power move of like, hey, are you busy this day? Because I kind of have some plans.
So
to kind
unromantic.
of involve you.
Yeah. So, and in my mind, I was like, okay, this isn't the wedding, because that would be me accepting failure, which, you know, personal issues aside. And it's like, okay, it's going to be small. We're just going to have a cup, like my parents. That's it. Just sign the papers, get it done so she can stay.
Yes.
And then we'll celebrate when this whole COVID thing's behind us and the suit business has come back, when people start going back to work.
Right.
Yeah. But then I told his sister, who lives in Florida back then, and she's like, we're coming. And so it turned into like an actual.
And we're going to make it special and cute and do this thing. And it was
really cute.
It was a really great day.
That's so special of Helene to make it,
Yeah.
do her part and do that.
So everyone was there. And then I didn't invite any of my friends because no one from her side was going to be there. And if I started inviting my friends, it started to turn into this big thing where it's just my side. And I was like, okay, my family can be there. We'll make it cute. We'll make it special. And then we'll go do something in Thailand later.
Totally.
So we got married.
And so now, the first store hadn't been set up yet.
No.
You're still
So-
selling on Instagram.
So what we did was we got married. After I got married, I was like, okay, I'm secured.
Visa check.
Yeah,
Husband check.
I'm secured. Now we applied for our visa for the green card. And then right after
lawyer,
we
all
got
that
married, we
stuff.
got our house. And then
We bought that condo 10 days after.
and then register for the company right away. Because back then, Chubby Baker was not registered yet.
Yeah.
It was just out of the house.
Yeah.
Once I got married, company registered right away.
Yeah.
And then I was still doing it out of his mom's house. And then I found a spot in January.
Which ironically is funny because it's like right by where your first store was.
Yeah, same street, just up the street. And what happened was that she was dropping off, because she was doing drop-off donuts.
Yeah.
And there was this Chubby Baker Space Now. It was a cute little house, and it had a for rent sign in the front. She takes a picture and sends it to me. He's like, is this a good location? I was like, where is it? She's like, 9th South, just above 3rd East. And I'm like, yes, that's a good location.
Yeah.
And so she looks for it online, and it's nowhere. It's not on LoopNet. It's not on anything. And
but back then, we already have a realtor. Like, so I sent it to her and be like, can you reach out to the landlord? And so we went to see it right the next day.
And so it had that sign had been put up that day.
Yeah.
And she saw it, contacted him, and closed on it before it ever hit the internet.
Yeah.
Love that.
It never hit the market.
Yeah. And so that's how Chubby Baker all started.
And so by this point, like, how many followers does Chubby Baker have on Instagram?
I think it was like 15K.
Yeah. So it grew. And like, so between that date and the date you started, how many months had gone by?
We started in like September, August, September. So like 6 months, I would say.
Yeah.
Before we got our space.
So it goes from this idea of you knowing nothing about how to make donuts, frying, any of this, to going through creating your perfect product, validate with friends. And then all of a sudden, you have this massive social media following, have this store being
going
developed.
through construction and contractors and city and everything, like machines, fryer, hood, electrical stuff, plumbing, just
Health department.
crazy, like from zero.
Well, then I love like I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like almost the crowning moment of like the validation of that was that first, I think it was the Donut Critic competition where it was just, I mean, head-to-head tournament on social media voting for the best donut in Utah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're new from Utah, the sugar addiction capital of the world, like, you know, Banbury Cross, you know, Dunford Donuts, you know, all these big players that have pretty strong opinions. And then all of a sudden, Ying's the one hoisting the trophy at the end, so to speak.
And she'd entered another competition, won that one too.
Yeah, we went to the Dough Show and we won that one. And yeah, it was a crazy year to like kind of start this thing.
Yeah.
It's like since we got married, life has been insane. Because like then you got pregnant.
Yeah. And like before we got like the grand opening, which we opened on the 1st of October of 2021.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah.
So
and
it
I
took
was already
10
pregnant.
months to get this place going.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So fast forward. So it's so funny to like think of the timeline, because so you move to Utah again to try it out. You get stuck here. You figure out how to make these donuts. You secure a Cameron marriage. You buy a house. You get married. You create your first store. You get pregnant. Like, that's a lot of change so quick.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a lot of change. Like I left Thailand single, went back home, and I was married with a kid.
And
So,
how long had it been from when you left Thailand to come try this out to going back and visiting, or going back to see him again?
2.5 years.
Yeah. Almost 3 years.
And a completely different person.
Yeah.
She left to go see her boyfriend to spend a couple months with him. Came back 2.5 years later, married with a kid and a business.
Yeah. And so now, and like, obviously I don't want to diminish, like, well, not diminish is probably the wrong word, but like, and Cam is also building his suit empire. And so at this point you have New York starting to do stuff because you set up out there. You have the Utah store, you have the Boise store, you have the Miami store. And so like things are going really well there. And just kind of seeing this almost power couple put together these different things that they, I mean, had ground through and really built brick by brick up until they are today. And I mean, it's nothing stopped, nothing slowed down. I mean, just to kind of catch up to where we are today. I mean, Ying, you're working on store 3 and 4, one in Sandy,
2
one
and 3.
2 and 3. Sorry.
Yeah. There's Sandy, which is going to be our main like location where we are going to move all our production there. And then there's Orem, which is a smaller location with a drive-through, which was not in the plan at all. Because I thought that, okay, I'm just going to do Sandy. Let's get us done. And then, you know, kind of slowly grow. But then when we came back from Thailand beginning of this year, Michelle, my realtor, she sent me this location and I was like, Michelle, I'm not ready to like open a 3rd store. And she's like, just take a look at it and call me. I took a look at it. I see the location. And I was like,
I want this.
I called Cam first. I was like, do you think I'm crazy if I say I want to do this? If you say no, if you think that I am crazy, I won't do it. Because it's going to be a lot on like both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I think we should do it. And I was like, okay. And then
It was just too perfect.
Yeah.
Very little build out. Vague.
Yeah.
Paint job, some tile, new signs.
Especially like Newmarket and Orem, where sugar is the drug
and
of choice.
I was already looking at something in Orem. And so...
Well, you were looking to have a distributor in Orem.
Yeah.
Like something super cheap, just a place to pick up in Orem. And then
this thing came up.
That just kept turning into the person she was going to do it with, looking at bigger and bigger and more expensive spaces. And we were in Thailand talking about this, and we're just like, if you're going to spend that much money, like don't partner with anyone, just do it Chubby Baker.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, yeah.
I've been like, before starting Chubby Baker, I've been at the point where I started to like partner up with people so many times, but at the end, I just thought like, I can't do it. Like I have too much opinion and I want to be the one who makes decisions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't work with other people.
Which is a good realization to have instead of getting to the end and being like oh no,
I'm too bossy. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Anyways, I called the realtor and I was like, okay, Michelle, let's do this. Let's put in an LOI.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty tough because it was a really good spot that everyone wants it.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky to.
Yeah, the landlord came up, tried all the product. Like he knows he has a really good spot. So he's being very picky.
Yeah.
So we had to like multiple meetings to sell Chubby Baker to him. So
Ying walks in, hey, here's these donuts. I got them from the China market.
yeah,
Do you like
he's
these?
like an older dude in Orem, right? So it's like
He
the
has
Thai
his
flavors
way.
aren't his. So it's like, here's the chocolate, here's the Oreo, here's like the really basics, you know?
But he has like, he's really kind but he just has his own way of doing things and he just wants things to be a certain way. So you just have to understand where he's coming from and why he wants things his way. And yeah, I'm pretty good with older people. So I kind of persuade him that, hey, you know what? This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when are those new locations hopefully opening up?
I am hoping that Orem will be open in a few weeks from now, which would be like mid-August.
Okay.
We're just wrapping up a few things and then we just have to get inspections and approval from the health department.
Sick.
But Sandy will be another like 3 months from now, just because it's a new construction and we have to build everything.
Because that's going to be the main like
that's going to be the main hub and
Big kitchen.
Takes a lot of
all
work.
new stuff.
the main people will be working there. And yeah, I'm really excited for both of them, but also very stressful. And with being pregnant right now, I usually deal with stress pretty good, but with pregnancy, it's like anxiety, just
Those
starts
hormones
coming
just
up.
creep in
Yeah.
and makes everything more difficult.
Yeah, the decision to have another kid was kind of interesting because we felt like we wanted to have another kid and we had so much going on.
And the plan was to try in this December.
Yeah.
But then it was like LJ is pregnant and I keep seeing lots of people being pregnant.
Yeah.
And
so you started saying like, I want to be pregnant right now so bad, but we're too busy. And I was like, so my input on it was, so my whole stance on when she's pregnant is, when you're ready, I'll get you pregnant because I love kids and I'll take as many as you can push out. Like you tell me when to stop.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and it was also his sister was planning to get pregnant in June. So I was like, okay, let's do this together. So that way we can go through this together.
Yeah. Because they both had pretty rough first pregnancies. So, and my thing was, I was like, look, if you didn't have the stores and you didn't have all this work, would you want to get pregnant right now? And she's like, yes. I'm like, in my opinion, we'll never be ready.
Right. There's never a perfect moment.
So if you want to get pregnant now, like we're not going to be less busy in 6 months.
Yeah.
So if you want to get pregnant now, then let's at least like try now.
Totally.
And
Because we didn't know if it's going to take us like a few months.
because the second one's supposed to take longer or something,
Yeah.
but not for us. It was right away.
So,
Okay, here
so
we
we
go.
have 2 stores being built. We have a child being built.
Yes.
Cam just finished the Nebraska store pretty recently.
Omaha and Des Moines, I opened up Omaha in February and Des Moines in March.
Yeah. So
Up 2 this year.
all steam ahead, all
And
cylinders.
I had to completely rebuild Miami. I let my team go there and implemented a new one. So that's effectively opening a new store. So
So no one's has extra time to do whatever they want to,
Yeah.
but still just all steam ahead. Everything's working. It's such an amazing story, but it's also a story that isn't even done yet.
right, we're in the thick of it.
And so, I love everything that comes together. I'm so glad that we could sit down, but I guess kind of pivoting the conversation. I mean, Ying, when you first visited Utah and kind of scoped it out, you're like, this is a good place to raise a family, a lot of opportunity. Is that kind of what keeps you here, and you still feel those same excitement of seeing that?
Yeah, I mean, especially with having Elizabeth right now, my baby, I feel like this is a great spot for raising kids. It will be a safe place for my kid right now. Like compared to being in Bangkok, it's like you're living in New York.
Yep.
So it's like there's literally no park. And it's just not an environment for a kid. So even though I miss Thailand a lot, but even when we went there for like a trip, it was like, this is just not the place.
It was really hard with a kid.
Totally.
It's not the place for us to be here right now.
That was a huge part of why we moved. We wanted a home with a yard because what's great about that, you just put the baby in the backyard and she just runs around and and we've gone to parks and stuff. So it's just it's just a really, and I love Utah. Like I grew up here, similar to you, so. I'm on Team Utah. I love it here. This is home.
Yeah.
So I think it's beautiful. It's quaint. It's got everything you need. The airport's great. Soon you'll have direct flights to Korea from Salt Lake. Like it's just a great place.
Without like restriction of traveling anymore, like with COVID, you can go anywhere on a trip. So we're just like, this is great for being our home, and we can always visit Thailand, Japan, anywhere we want to go. And like for sure in the future, we're like, we could retire in Thailand and like be here during like good weather time. Like fall.
The book is not closed on Thailand in our life. Like it's when our kids are older and in school and stuff, like we've talked about like every summer, we just go to Thailand. Like we're going to go live with your family.
Yeah.
Like you're going to like,
and give them that
understand
cultural
your
experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Thailand means a lot to us, and we really want it to mean a lot to our kids too.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it. And I know that Ying, like a lot of your family has come and visited since you've set up shop here.
Yeah. My dad came here for a couple months. My brother was here for a bit. They love it here. It's just so cold.
Yeah, they both came in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
My
different.
dad was like, it's so cold.
Yeah.
Like this is snow. It is cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he'd never seen snow like that before.
Yeah.
We were like driving to
It
Park
was his
City.
first
He's just
Christmas.
like, what? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool.
So what else does the future look like for, Bespoke, for Chubby Baker? I mean, what excites you guys about what's to come and being here in Salt Lake doing it?
There were many like plans or like pictures that I thought for Chubby Baker. At first it was like, okay, maybe we should, after 3 stores, get everything systematic and then like maybe franchise. But there's also part of me that's like, I'm not like a business person. Like I hate the difficult stuff, the financial stuff, dealing with contractors, all the numbers.
You weren't enjoying
I just want
being a business owner right now.
I'm not enjoying being a business owner. I enjoyed creating new recipes and like the art of it, like making it look cute, making like boxes and just the creative part. So if Cameron cannot step in, I think that we are gonna stop at 3 stores for now. Just because I also want to just be a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I want to.
Once Elizabeth was born, she came to me and she's just like, "Will you think less of me if I want to focus on being a mom?" I was like, "Absolutely not." So, like, if that's what you want to do, then that's what we do. So, the plan on the Chubby Baker side is once the other 2 stores are open, it's just like we're going to get it sustained. We're going to give the managers really good salaries to keep them, to keep them there. Work on getting them benefits and get that systemized, and like pause. And on the bespoke end, we are wrapping up a build out of our new Salt Lake store. It's going to be on Regent Street.
Cool.
My business partners, Daniel and Hayden, they own HM Cole. HM Cole and Bespoke are kind of just the same thing we operate. So right now we're choosing which name to go under. So it might just be HM Cole in Salt Lake. It might be just Bespoke. We don't know yet. But a huge part of our business is we manufacture for over 400 companies that do what we do around the world now. Yeah. So the focus there is like I don't know if there's a potential that there's going to be an exit. In which case, like if I find myself not working in suits anymore, then I could potentially take over the running the business side of Chubby Baker, the stuff that she hates that I actually don't mind. I actually enjoy. Yeah. Right. Systematizing everything, and then she can just have that creative outlet, but we don't know. Right now, everything is get the stores open. I want to get 1 or 2 more Bespoke stores open and just keep progressing in that. And then see where we're at. And then like our long-term plan is like coming up to the end of this year. Yeah. So we'll see where it takes us.
Which has got to be, kudos to you guys for, it's so fun to hear both of your stories, to see where you're at now and see these long-term goals and visions and how much it's changed and all the wrenches that have thrown into it, to see where the success is now. And obviously life has changed once you have a kid and the second kid's on its way. Priorities shift, and you want to be so much more involved with that. But at the same time, this foundation that you've built along the way only helps you invest your time and energy into that even more. So want to wrap, anything else you guys want to talk through about the experience or anything before I wrap up with 2 questions?
No.
So first question for both of you, if you could have anybody be interviewed for Small Lake City podcast and you'd want to hear their story or what they're working on, who would you recommend?
It's tough for me because I don't know a lot of people.
But donut people and fun stuff. You've got to have met some cool people along the way.
I would say Mile High Food Fairy. Her name is Amber. Okay. But that's her Instagram name. She is a pediatrician dentist.
Yeah, she's a children's dentist.
Children's dentist.
Nice.
But her side hustle is the food influencer.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's really good at doing that. And she was one of the main person that helped out Chubby Baker a lot. Yeah. As well as Donut Critique.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
What about
the
you,
Donut
Cam?
Critic would be a good one.
Yeah. Because I think I met him at your grand opening.
Yeah,
he's a bundle of energy, dude.
Yeah.
He networks, he introduces people. He'd be a really cool one.
He works for that cool building in Alpine, graphic design.
Adobe?
Yeah. He works for Adobe. Yeah. And yeah, it's just really cool. And he's so passionate about donuts. Just so passionate.
Or just sweets in general and Salt Lake City and
he's so passionate
he
about
took the
donuts.
comment from Shaq personally.
He's like, listen, Shaq, we will get you donuts. This place is not boring.
This is not someone I met.
I think a lot of food influencers took that personally, where it's like, you don't think that Salt Lake has good stuff? Here you go.
Yeah.
Especially
when you see how much growth there's been. Because I think if you were to poll people and be like, what's Salt Lake food known for? It's like, a bunch of like chainy restaurants and like family friendly stuff. Exactly. Yeah. And so now you have these people who have put in the groundwork of getting actually good food here, and just have someone come in and make such a blanket, ignorant comment.
Yeah.
Is hurtful.
You also have to admit that like the past 3 years, before 3 years ago, Salt Lake wasn't like this.
No.
Like the food scene has grown so much in the past 3 years that I've been here.
Yeah, I think it's because a lot of people have moved here.
Totally.
And kind of brought that with them, you know? Like one of my clients actually, he opened up that New Mexican spot in Riverton. It's like, what's it called? But like, he's from California. He just came here to get away from some of the more strict restrictions in California, partnered up with someone, opened a restaurant, and then moved to France. But he just owns this cool restaurant here. So I think a lot of that happened. Who owns the Jazz now? Ryan Smith?
Yeah.
If you could interview him, dude, I want to know his plans.
I have this golden list of people I want to interview, and he's one of those ones.
He built Qualtrics, took it to a multi-billion-dollar exit, and he's got plans, and he's not telling anyone what they are.
Totally.
Like,
I mean, because obviously bought the Jazz.
Yeah.
Obviously is very invested in bringing an MLB or NHL team here, but there's so much that you could do.
He's working on the homeless problem's been a big a vocal priority of his. I just want to know his plans. Does he have political aspirations? Like what? So like, if you could, he's someone that I want to know because I think he's going to be a big influence here for the long term.
Same. I mean, I think he's going to go down in history as, a Larry H. Miller. That caliber of person and the impact they make on the Valley and the state.
Miller had a huge impact with the Jazz getting here and then the Olympics, all that stuff, which might come back. It sounds like so.
So we'll wrap it up with one last question. If people want to find either you guys personally or Chubby Baker and Bespoke, where do they find them on social media, the stores themselves?
So Chubby Baker right now, our Instagram handle is Chubby Baker USA. Just because at first we were like, okay, we should change from SLC to USA. And we have a store downtown. It's on 3rd East and 9th South. Really close to Liberty Park, and Sandy is going to be 9470 South Highland Drive.
94 South Highland Drive next to the Home Depot.
Yeah.
Got it.
And we share a building with Swig. And Orem, it's going to be right in front of Trader Joe's. So
on State Street on the corner of University Parkway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super easy to find.
What's your Instagram?
My personal Instagram is Ying, YING PCP. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm Cameron with Bespoke, and the company is Bespoke CC in Salt Lake City. Our new store, which we're opening in a few weeks, will be on 135 Regent Street.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much. I'm so excited to everybody hear your story and inspire them to do the things that are hard, but
you got a lot of content to cut it down. I think we've got 2.5 hours here.
We might have to do a part 1 and part 2, but
good idea.
I don't want to take anything away from this.
I think this is a cool thing that you're doing. Getting into the nitty gritty of what people are doing here, because I think everyone can tell something's happening here, but I can't really put your finger on what. Like who's behind this?
Exactly.
Right.
So that is exactly it. There's a new guard in Salt Lake that's changing it into what we want it to be compared to what it was, and
for sure, got
to know the faces behind it.
Yep. Okay, it's a wrap.
That is a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Salt Lake City Podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, review, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. And we'll catch you next week. We'll see you there.